Cars in Frontierland. I'm sure all of you have seen by now that Cars is coming to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, and I feel like every time I see something about this project, someone is saying, why is Disney doing this? So today, I want to invite all of you to join me for a laid-back, open-minded conversation, the logical reasons on why Disney is putting Cars and villains in Magic Kingdom, replacing Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America. With that being said, let's get to it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is an incredible number that I want to hit soon, so please subscribe if you haven't already. And not just telling you guys to subscribe, but like, for the first time ever, I actually wrote notes for this video, as I have so many topics I want to touch on and really offer logical thoughts on why Disney is doing this, and just the fact that I'll be covering this Cars area and Villains Land for the next 3 and 4 years until they officially open. So subscribe not only for this video, but for the next future content regarding these areas. Now let's dive into today's topic. When it comes to what is happening right now in the park at Magic Kingdom, there has been a kind of under the radar milestone of walls going up along the Riverwalk that previously was not blocked off. So immediately after Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America closed, we saw the first main section of walls go up. But if you were to walk along the Riverwalk until just a few days ago at the time of me publishing this video, you could actually look into the former river with all of the construction equipment. It was fully drained. You could see the track where the Liberty Bell used to run along. And now walls have been installed to block off this entire area of Magic Kingdom through some point in 2028, whenever this Cars area opens. And most people would wonder, well, why is that such a big deal? And that's because Disney is about to demolish all of this. We're about to see things kick into overdrive at Magic Kingdom. You're about to see the entirety of Tom Sawyer Island, there was America, all the trees. It's about to be leveled very quickly. I expect by the end of this month, we're going to see some major demolition begin. And I'm confident in saying that because Disney's new fiscal year has just started. Whenever Disney's new fiscal year begins, there is a lot of money from capital expenditure pumped into the Disney Experiences segment because it makes sense on a paper point, right? For all of Disney's shareholders, it makes sense to spend money once that new fiscal year begins because it looks better from a numbers standpoint. And there's a difference between OpEx and CapEx. OpEx is all of the operational expenses in the parks that happen regardless of what's going on with new projects, right? The operations from cast members to maintenance to fireworks, all of the everyday things in the parks, that is OpEx. But when it comes to CapEx, that's all the new things, right? These expansions, these refurbishments, and Cars and Villains falls under CapEx. So new fiscal year means that now when you're spending all this money demolishing all this stuff, filling in the river, and then next year in 2026 when we see the major vertical construction begin, it makes sense to start that process now. So those walls going up is everything. It literally signals the beginning of all of this massive work in the years ahead. And a quick reminder, everything I'm about to talk about are objective points, all right? These aren't my opinions, so please don't attack me for this. Though, at the end, I will be talking about my opinions. So if you want to come after me for that, that's all fair game. But the first point I wrote down is that Cars has made over 10 billion with a B, in merchandise sales alone. And that's not even including the billion plus this franchise has made at the box office. So this is where I put myself in Disney's leaders' shoes. Bob Iger, Josh D'Amaro specifically, as they're the main two overseeing the future of the parks. And that actually makes me think about a story that no one else has ever covered. I've never seen a single other Disney creator tell this story. So I think this will also offer some incredible insight for you guys to understand why this is happening. And a couple months ago at a Q&A with Moffat Nathanson, Josh D'Amaro was talking about Disney's approach to the Disney parks right now. The word turbocharged has been used so many times regarding Disney parks, I never want to hear it again. And Josh was talking about how Bob Iger, when he returned as CEO to Disney, Josh actually gave Bob a giant book of where Disney parks are right now and kind of giving him ideas for where to go for the future. And Josh said in that Q&A that once he gave Bob Iger that book, it was Bob Iger's idea to spend this $60 billion in Disney experiences over the next decade, which that money has already started to be spent. So it's not $60 billion from this point forward, it's already happening. And Josh also confirmed that not only was it Bob Iger's idea to do all of this investment at Disney parks worldwide, but that Disney has gotten the data that whenever they put an investment into Disney parks, whether that's an expansion, a reimagining, a refurbishment, they're getting a 3-time return on investment in the parks. So if they were to spend $100 million, they're getting $300 million back from trips booked, lightning lanes, annual pass holders, merchandise. That's a ton of return on investment when they make an investment. So that's where I circle back to cars making $10 billion, right? The numbers are there. So if Disney's spending a few $100 million on this cars area, well, they're going to triple that. How do you say no to that, right? It's a ton of money. And I think that kind of comes back to everything Disney is doing now, return on investment. I know some of you might be thinking, well, Walt Disney didn't think that way. To an extent, he didn't. Because something I also see no one ever talking about is Sleeping Beauty Castle at his park, Disneyland Park. Walt Disney's original idea for a castle was Sleeping Beauty Castle because it could promote Sleeping Beauty years before it released in theaters. Snow White was the perfect choice, as that was Disney's first feature film around a princess. So why not put Snow White's castle in your first theme park? But no, Walt himself said, hey, let's promote this movie at Disneyland to get a higher return when that movie releases. So I think there's a lot of thought on how Disney is operated today, but even myself, I wonder, would Walt be doing the same thing right now with how much money is on the table? So that's my first point, right? It's very easy for Disney's executives to make this decision when the numbers have already been proven in merchandise sales alone, which will automatically be connected to this area, Piston Peak, once it opens at Magic Kingdom. One of the biggest points on my list and why I'm mentioning this so early in the video is that these areas, Cars and Villains, make Magic Kingdom such a unique offering for the millions of people that are going to be visiting Walt Disney World once they open in the coming years. When you look over at Disneyland, for example, Disneyland Resort is a very locals park. You know, a lot of the visitors that go to Disneyland are based out of California and the states surrounding them, where Walt Disney World is a worldwide destination. It is the world's most popular vacation destination, and I think it's very easy for people to forget that, right? Every single day at Magic Kingdom, you have thousands of families visiting for their once-in-a-lifetime experience. And I think to a lot of families, Magic Kingdom is Walt Disney World, right? If you were to ask 100 families, Family Feud style, what do you consider Walt Disney World? They would probably say Magic Kingdom. Everyone wants to go to the Magic Kingdom. They want to get a photo with Cinderella Castle. They want to see Happily Ever After. They want to see Disney Starlight. Those classic Disney offerings that anyone on this planet would know. That's what you associate with Magic Kingdom, right? So how do you make Magic Kingdom more unique compared to any other theme park on the planet? It's by optimizing it. It's by bringing in your blockbuster IPs like Lightning McQueen, Cars, and your Disney villains, which Disney fans have been asking for decades now. I feel like people have been asking for a Villains Land longer than I've been alive. I'm 23, and I feel like there's been talk of a Villains theme park for longer than I've been alive. So by making Magic Kingdom unique in the years ahead, like I mentioned, with the ROI and that 3 times ROI, you're going to get people flying in from Europe, around the world, around the US, coming to the Magic Kingdom to experience these areas. Diving even deeper into this world's busiest theme park point that I'm making, right? Whether we like it or not, I loved Tom Sawyer Island, I love the Liberty Bell. I want to be very clear with that. I loved those areas, and if it was up to me, I would have kept the Liberty Bell running in Magic Kingdom in some way, shape, or form. I loved that boat so much that it is still the wallpaper on my phone since last August. I have not changed that photo. But kids do not care about an island and a riverboat. Kids care about Lightning McQueen and Mater. Almost every single time I go to Walt Disney World, that's about 2 times a week, I will see a family and their kid is wearing Cars merchandise. Almost every single week that I'm on TikTok, I will see a video about how much a family's son loves Lightning McQueen. I constantly see families taking their children to Art of Animation Resort out here at Walt Disney World to the Cars section because that's the only place you can see Lightning McQueen and Mater. And that will be changing at Magic Kingdom, right? Also, again, world's busiest theme park needs family offerings. Families can go to Walt Disney World and not get separated. You could take people from an age of 3 to 99, and all of them could enjoy Magic Kingdom. So Cars fills that bucket perfectly. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, it shouldn't be all about the kids, which I agree with. I think Disney does need some thrills, but that's where everything balances out with Villains Land right next door. And for what it's worth, Villains Land is not the official name of that land by any means. I'm just calling it Villains Land because it's easy to say that. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But I guarantee you when Josh D'Amaro, Bob Iger, Bruce Vaughn, the president and chief creative officer of Walt Disney Imagineering, are looking at concepts to greenlight for this 15-acre space, you have Cars to fill the family bucket, you have Villains to fill the more thrills adult bucket, right? So again, logical reasons, all of this stuff, if you really dive into it, it all makes sense, at least in my opinion. The next big point I want to dive into is the optimization of Disney's theme parks. The word optimization is a word that I've used a ton recently in my personal vocabulary, but it is an absolute fact that that is what is going on. And there are a multitude of reasons on why Disney is doing this. Again, why is Disney putting Cars in Frontierland? Well, I can tell you why. And it's not just Magic Kingdom's transformation, actually. It's everywhere. You look over at Hollywood Studios, you have Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets replacing Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. By bringing the Muppets into that attraction, it's going to draw more guests. And the same could be said with Monsters, Inc. replacing Muppets Courtyard. That area didn't have many guests visiting it, though I do think that was Disney's own hand. Well, still, they're optimizing it by putting Monsters, Inc. back there. Over at Animal Kingdom, Tropical Americas is replacing Dino Land. You're putting 2 blockbuster IPs there. And then even over at Disney California Adventure, you're seeing Avatar replace that little Hollywood Land area because no one goes there. So by optimizing these areas, you're getting a quicker return on investment because it's not a full expansion, right? If you're looking at a full expansion, I wrote down a few reasons why that doesn't make sense from a business perspective. Again, whether we like it or not, this is why they're doing it. When you do a full expansion, I think the closest thing in recent memory we have to a full expansion, I guess I could say New Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom because this video is about Magic Kingdom, you know. Well, not all of these connect to New Fantasyland, you know. That was a big expansion of the park. Like, you had Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you have Ariel's Undersea Adventure, you have Storybook Circus. It pushed out the park compared to what was there before. And with that, you have to consider land suitability. Like, Disney owns a ton of land, and I'm always seeing people say, why don't they just expand? Well, not all the land that Disney owns can actually be built on, especially in Florida with all the swamps out here. So that's one reason. Then, if that land is suitable, you have to grade it, which land grading takes a lot of time and a lot of money, which pushes back when these areas can open. It means that it takes longer to build them. It's more expensive because of that land grading and that land suitability, all of the research that has to go into getting everything ready before you can even build. And like I mentioned, longer construction times, which has been a big point within the Disney community. So that's four big reasons why Disney wouldn't do that. Now, when you look at replacing an area, optimizing it, reimagining it, transforming it, well, you don't have to worry about that land suitability. It's much more cost effective to build on areas that you already have, that you know are completely safe to build on, where the land is ready to go with a little bit of work, like we're seeing at Hollywood Studios, at Magic Kingdom, at Dino Land. Also, it's a quicker construction time. With Disney building on top of this massive space with Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America, yes, you have to demolish all of it, but after you demolish everything, that land can be flattened very quickly to where they can get foundation work and vertical work done majorly in 2026. And it also offers quicker construction times. Like I just mentioned, Disney fans, like I mentioned, they want things done quicker. So by demolishing Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America, you're going to have these areas open in 2028 and 2029 compared to the 2030s. By getting those areas open quicker in 2028 and 2029, that allows for faster Lightning Lane sales, and more trips are going to be booked as a result of them opening sooner. You're going to have thousands of families booking trips and hundreds of thousands of Lightning Lane sales years sooner, which is going to make you millions of dollars sooner, which is going to get you that 3-time return on investment like Josh just talked about years before if they would expand the park. So by optimizing Magic Kingdom, it makes sense from a shareholder perspective, and Disney can say, hey, we made so much money off of replacing Tom Sawyer Island rather than expanding on the land that is only partially suitable outside of the railroad berm at the park. And my next point connects to those quicker construction times. By replacing it opens sooner. Well, that improves Magic Kingdom's guest experience sooner. By balancing crowds throughout the entire park with all of these updates, refurbishments, offerings, that spreads people out evenly, that makes wait times shorter and walkways less busy. So by Magic Kingdom's 60th anniversary, think about how many things Magic Kingdom is going to have that are newer to balance people out. You have Tron Light Cycle Run, you have Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you have Big Thunder Mountain Railroads updates, the full track replacement, the new scenes, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, you have the new paint on Cinderella Castle, people are going to be wanting taking pictures of Cinderella Castle, you have Carousel of Progress with the Walt Disney animatronic, all of those scenes, the new voice cast, and then you have Cars and Villains. So people are going to be going throughout the park to experience all of these things. And some of you might be thinking, well, by the time the Villains Land opens, those things won't be new anymore. But again, for the general family visiting Walt Disney World who hasn't been in 10 years, everything is new. To the point that even now in 2025, there's still people visiting Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land and Pandora for the first time, right? When you're living in this world of social media, it's easy to forget that our reality and our perception of reality isn't the world's reality. We're living in a constant echo chamber of monitoring every single thing that Disney does, but that's not reality. Reality is the family coming on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation, wanting to experience Disney stories in Disney's theme parks, not a riverboat, even if I loved it. So you are improving the guest experience by balancing out your massive offerings, not only throughout Magic Kingdom, but throughout Walt Disney World as a whole. Another massive point, again, no one's talking about these things. You cannot put a massive show building, a big rectangle box, in the middle of Magic Kingdom. That's exactly why we saw Tron built behind Tomorrowland Speedway and Space Mountain, because Tron's big show building, the big box, it fits on the edge of Magic Kingdom. That's why we are seeing Villains Land built behind Cars, because you can put big box show buildings and restaurants on the edge of Magic Kingdom's berm. It makes sense for Villains Land to be on the edge of the park, because that's where you can build these massive attractions and structures. But you can't do that with Piston Peak. You can't do that in the middle of the park between Haunted Mansion and Big Thunder Mountain. And we've actually already seen this happen before in Magic Kingdom with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You can't put Seven Dwarfs Box Train in the middle of New Fantasyland. You put a mountain there, a natural mine that fits in the landscape of Magic Kingdom, where you can walk around the attraction in a 360-degree environment. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is one of few Disney attractions that you can walk around the entire thing, and the entire attraction is fully themed. Where the coaster, the maintenance areas, it fits perfectly hidden. No one ever sees any of that, and that's exactly how Piston Peak is going to be. But Mine Train is a small little plot of land. Piston Peak is going to be over 4 acres of a national park with trees, waterfalls, geysers, 2 attractions, and you're going to be able to walk around the entire area. Where you don't have a giant box sitting in Frontierland, it wouldn't make sense. But with Villains Land it does, and that's why they're doing that. And this is where the layout of Magic Kingdom forces creativity, which I love very, very much. When you force creativity, you get good results. There have been many stories of Imagineers, current and past, who have said that sometimes a certain budget or a certain location forces the best ideas because you have to figure it out. At some point, you have to lock in an idea. At some point, the idea is going to click and it's going to get green lit. And that's a big part of what we're seeing with this area not being a clone of Cars Land out at Disney California Adventure, because you have to make something that fits in that 4-acre space where you don't have a giant show building. And that's where the idea was born, to go outside of Radiator Springs with an 100% original story, Piston Peak National Park. You don't see Piston Peak National Park in any of the Cars films. This also ties into my earlier point, making Magic Kingdom unique. Not only is it unique that it doesn't exist at any other Disney park and never will, it's unique that it's an 100% original story created by Pixar and Walt Disney Imagineering. It allows the most creative people on the planet to be creative, expand the story of Cars, one of Disney's most profitable and beloved franchises of all time. And I could say the same thing about Villains Land. The storyline for Villains Land, it's already original. All of the Disney villains are coming together under a mysterious spell, which means in the 2 major e-ticket attractions in Villains Land, we are seeing these villains come together for the first time in a physical environment. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. There are a lot of benefits to doing this, and it forces Pixar, Walt Disney Animation Studios, Walt Disney Imagineering to be creative. And when these people are given money to be creative, good things happen. Look at how incredible Epic Universe turned out. And the last objective point I will make, also tying into my earlier comment about return on investment, is that by putting Cars and Villains in Magic Kingdom, you now have more reasons to sell tickets to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. At the Halloween Party, you can easily do an original overlay for Piston Peak through the entire area on both attractions. In Villains Land, come on. Villains Land during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in the Halloween season, you could do fireworks with an original soundtrack similar to Fire of the Rising Moons, which we already see at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. The fact that you can sell more tickets to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party for both areas, and then for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, you can do another original overlay in Piston Peak, connecting these areas to offerings that make Disney a ton of money every single year. The fact that Magic Kingdom closes at 6 p.m. on select nights from the middle of August through the end of the year, think about how much money Disney makes every single year just on these special ticketed events. That's not to mention these Disney Vacation Club events, Moonlight Magic and Disney After Hours. These areas can be incorporated into these special ticketed events, which makes Disney millions. So that's why we're seeing these IPs. So many reasons that no one thinks about. But I'm thinking 3 years from now, 4 years from now, I want to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party to check out the Halloween things at Cars and Villains. Why not? Sounds like a fun time to me. So that's where I will wrap up this video with my subjective thoughts. And honestly, the fact that I've looked at this project through an open mind since last August, put so much time and mental thought into this project, just this video. Like, I spent hours writing all of these points down just to share with all of you guys. But I honestly think that Piston Peak, when all is said and done, is going to be one of Disney's best projects at the domestic Disney parks between Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World Resort. I just feel like I mentioned earlier, when you're putting a national park with cars attached, that is how I'm viewing this. I'm not viewing this as Cars of Magic Kingdom. I'm viewing this as Frontierland National Park, and there has to be cars in this area, and Lightning McQueen and Mater are here. That's how I'm viewing it. And a massive part that this is my number one point. This is the number one point I will make in this video because I've been talking for so long now, is the rock work and the atmosphere. Disney's rockwork team is led by Walt Disney. If you don't know the name Walt Disney, after you're done watching this video, do some research on this man. He is one of fewer than 50 TIA Masters ever to be recognized for his work. And a TIA Master is the Themed Entertainment Association. They only recognize people with the TIA Master Award if you have at least 20 years of experience with a catalog of impressive projects. And Walt Disney is one of these Imagineers who has been honored as a TIA Master. He leads Disney's rockwork team, and he has worked on the original Tokyo Disney Sea. He worked on Cars Land out at California Adventure. He worked on Pandora, the World of Avatar, here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Also, the original Tree of Life at Animal Kingdom. And most recently, Fantasy Springs over at Tokyo Disney Sea. So every single project that Walt Disney and his team have worked on at Disney parks when it comes to rock work and atmosphere has been top tier stuff. If I were to tell you that Walt Disney is leading the rock work development for both Piston Peak and Villains at Magic Kingdom, we are going to get 2 more incredible rock work formation experiences in the middle of Magic Kingdom. This man's track record does not lie. He is an absolute genius, and his entire team is incredible. I love Jolt because I've met him, I have talked to him, and he's the one that gets a lot of the spotlight. But the people that really work on the rock work and figure out how to make these structures from a literal, practical perspective on how to make these things work to where they structurally are sound, to making them look visually pretty and fit in the world of these stories. That's really why voice crack, I'm not cutting this part out, but voice crack, that's why I'm excited for this, is because we have someone with an incredible track record who has worked on some of Disney's most iconic projects, and he is at the top of the rockwork development for 2 of the biggest areas in Disney's history, Disney Parks history. And I am just very optimistic in the sense for Disney knows they have to get this right. I think that Bruce Vaughn, the president and chief creative officer of Walt Disney Imagineering, knows that Disney has to get this right. I think that that's why we haven't seen a ton of concept art, because they really want to lock these ideas in. And then at D23 in 2026, we get the models, we get lots of concept art, we get lots of story details, because they don't want to set expectations too high and then under-deliver. They want to set expectations accordingly to what we're actually gonna experience. And I think that when you're bringing in originality, that's what I love. I love when Disney does everything but book reports. When I say book report, I'm talking like a retelling of a movie, like Frozen, right? Frozen Ever After, it's a lot of the things we see in the movie where you're visiting Elsa's Ice Palace. Whereas this stuff, it's a lot more of a new story where we're seeing these creatives be creative. We're going outside of the worlds of these movies that we've seen before. We're stepping foot into a story we've never experienced in person where it's all happening around us. So I think there's many reasons to be optimistic, but only time will tell, you know. D23 in 2026 is really where we're going to get the meat and potatoes for these lands. So in the meantime, we can speculate. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. But thank you for sticking with me through this massive video. This was a big one for me, and I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, like, share. I'm assuming if you've watched to the end that you'd be willing to subscribe, like, and share. That's all I would ask. And let me know what you guys think. If you agree, if you disagree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you all in my next video.